what are the challenges that you have seen? And you kind of touched about it, but can you go deeper into the challenges of the Web3 development ecosystem in India? And let's say in terms of whatever it may be, in terms of skill sets, tools, infrastructure, what are the challenges that currently exist?
Right. Interesting question and a very long answer for this, right? But I'll try to break it down into, number of challenges. So one main thing which I already touched upon is scarcity of developers. Back in 2018, when we started, the gap was a lot larger. But in the last couple of years, we have seen a lot of developers taking interest in the technology and building, right? There are a couple of misconceptions when it comes down to, people contributing to the blockchain ecosystem. One of the main things being, oh, I need to know smart contract development or I need to know Solidity to contribute to this ecosystem. But that's not true. You can be a front end developer, you can be a back end developer and still contribute because applications need these skill sets regardless, right? But if you want to now build infrastructure projects, then yes, you do not need to know Solidity. You do need to know Rust and to build on different chains and build smart contracts that do a particular function. But if you are looking to contribute to the space, regardless, anyone with technology or coding experience can start contributing right away, and not just devs, right? Even non-technical folks can contribute. There's a huge array of designers who can come in. There's a huge UX problem in the space that can be solved by designers and UX folks, right? So there are a lot of things you can do without having to dig deeper and actually learn the technology. And that's something that I've been emphasizing on everywhere I go, that, don't hold yourself back because you don't know smart contract development. Start with whatever you know, right? There is backend, there is front end. So Node.js, get into backend development. React UI, every other front end interface is built on React right now, and you can definitely start building something there. And you always have a team that can build the stuff that you don't have expertise in, right? So that is the one of the biggest misconceptions and biggest challenge, which is scarcity of devs. The second thing we've noticed, and one of the reasons why we wanted to build our metaverse, is that the personas of developers are very scattered right now. And this has happened since Web 2, right? We have GitHub, where a lot of developers have their repositories and their pet projects and hack projects kind of put in there. We have platforms that are, hackathon tools like a dev post, dev folio, where all of the developers' hackathon winnings are showcased. And then there are bounty platforms like Gitcoin, where people who solve for these bounties are winning. But all of this is so scattered that there's no one place where, say, organization that is hiring or organization that wants to work with a developer can see that this person has worked in all of these places, but has also built all of these projects and has also contributed to these chains. And that one persona is missing. And it gets a lot more easier when you can see everything that a developer has done to be able to hire them or work with them in the right way, right? So that is one of the another big challenge that we are seeing. And building that unified developer persona can really solve for that. And then putting it on chain is even better, because then it's verified, immutable, and you can't really mess up with the resumes. And there is a lot of resume fraud going on out there. The third problem is communities, and where communities are built, right? Again, super scattered. Every chain has its own community, an ecosystem probably built out on Discord, on their websites, etc. Seeing that blockchain is multi-chain, but yet, developers want to build on any chain that is innovative or poses a challenge to them, right? And they like overcoming those sort of things. The idea is to build that shared community of developers that the chains can essentially access and work with, right? As opposed to building like an exclusive community for each chain. Because at the end of the day, products are using multiple chains, most products are interoperable, and everyone's building for every ecosystem. So why should we build exclusive communities for each ecosystem, right? That was another challenge. How do you build that shared community of tech talent that the entire ecosystem can use? The fourth is the entire journey of a developer is catered to in different platforms. For hackathons, you have different platforms. For hiring, you have different platforms. For community building, you have different platforms. But to cater to a developer end to end and having them actually learn, earn, collaborate, build their network within one platform is very important, and that's something that hasn't been built out. And one of the main reasons is because building that in a 2D like world, right, or a 2D interface gets super hard. You have multiple tabs that a developer has to go through before they get to the end point. When you want to cater to one problem, catering to another would mean that you need to build another product altogether, because that's how complicated the user journey becomes. Now, with a platform like a metaverse, where you're mimicking the real world in a virtual setting, right, it becomes a lot more easier for a developer to kind of go through their journey as they would in the real world. I want to learn, I go into a learning hub. I want to find a job, I go to a company's building, speak to the representative, and find out what opportunities they have. So categorizing all of these things that a developer's journey entails becomes super easy in a metaverse like setting. And that's what we want to cater to as well, right? Because we know that every aspect of this is important. To get more developers in, we need to educate them and get them to learn, to build a community. And for the developers to take the next step after learning, it's for them to speak to other developers, speak to more experienced guys, and up their profile. All of that happening in one platform will be so much more powerful than it happening on several platforms, where community building has to start from scratch, from zero, and over again you'll have to market all of this, right? So that's another big challenge that we've seen. But that apart, I think in terms of new developers entering the space, as you had asked, there are a lot of learning platforms, but I see mostly chain specific content going out there, right? There isn't enough 101 communication happening. What is blockchain? What is Web 1? What is Web 2? What is Web 3? And that's something that we are trying to solve. That apart, also like getting into the grassroots of it, right? Colleges should ideally have a curriculum for blockchain, right? At least the basics, so developers can start there and then dip their toes and start learning online, because they do need a little bit of a push to get started. So setting up these tech clubs within colleges is something that is super necessary, which isn't happening. There are a lot of organizations that are trying to do it, but scaling that is hard, and that's another big challenge that we do see in the space.
If you haven't subscribed to the MetaRoy podcast yet, go down and subscribe below, tap that subscribe button, and like and share and comment on this video and let me know how it was. I would love to hear our comments and respond to them personally. Thank you.